Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Miami Heat could bring back 35-year-old veteran, report. The opening of the NBA offseason has been relatively quiet for the Miami Heat. Perhaps a bit too quiet. The team brought back forward Kevin Love and lost free agent guard DeLon Wright to the Bucks. Neither move was earth-shattering, and given the way the rest of the Eastern Conference has shaped up, there is some concern about how far back from the top of the conference the Heat have slid. The loss of Wright, though, could mean an opportunity for incumbent point guard Patty Mills to stick around on a low-cost deal. That's the view from beat reporter Ira Winderman of the Sun-Sentinel. After Wright's departure, Winderman wrote on Twitter/X, "So DeLon Wright turned into a short-term rental for Heat. Patty Mills remains a Heat option at point. No true point guard on current Heat roster." And in the Miami Herald, reporters Barry Jackson and Anthony Chang wrote, "The Heat will need to find another veteran backup point guard either with a minimum contract or via the trade market. Patty Mills remains an incumbent Heat option among free agents. As things stand, the Heat would likely use Terry Rozier as the starter at point guard. Rozier can play off the ball, and frequently has done so in his career, but at 6'1", the point is his primary position. Mills, who is 35 and has played pro ball for 15 years, is a serviceable backup, having signed with the Heat on a minimum contract after he was waived by the Hawks last year. He averaged 5.8 points in 13 games in Miami, and averaged 6.0 points in 3 playoff games. Mills addressed a possible return to the Miami Heat last month. "I've really appreciated my time here at the Heat and have really come to understand what this organization is really about, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, as well as learning a lot of things at the same time," Mills said, via the Miami Herald. Mills will represent Australia in this year's Paris Olympics and is not planning to retire. "I take really good care of myself and my body," said Mills. "The plan is to continue to play until the wheels fall off is how I see it. I'm feeling really good. This preparation that I've had now has been one of the best that I've probably ever had. I still got some more things to achieve." As for the Heat, an offseason built around keeping Love and Mills would hardly trigger much excitement, especially as other top teams in the East have made major moves. The Celtics will remain the favorites for next season, but the Knicks have improved with their trade for Nets forward Mikal Bridges. The Sixers have gotten better, too, as they brought in Paul George to join Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. And in Orlando, the addition of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope should help the Magic take a step forward. There's still much to be done. The trade market could see the likes of Donovan Mitchell, Brandon Ingram, Lauri Markkanen and more be moved, and the Heat would have the chance to make some hay with a major blockbuster trade. But so far, the Heat have been relatively quiet, while their competition has not. Dwayne Wade fires back at Bronny haters who say there were more qualified players that didn't get drafted. Former Miami Heat star Dwayne Wade recently clapped back at folks who believe that LeBron James' son Bronny wasn't worthy of being selected by the Los Angeles Lakers with the number 55 overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft. "Well, none of them could beat him in basketball," Wade said of the younger James naysayers. "So, you can't listen to that. Like I said, if you're not there with me every day, if you're not going through the moments where you gotta embrace the suck, when you're not going through the moments where you don't, you wanna quit because it's so hard, if you're not in this with me, I can't listen to you comment about me." And so hopefully Bronny has his headphones on. Wade spent 4 seasons playing alongside the elder James on the Heat. During their time together, they led the Heat to 4 straight appearances in the NBA Finals and a pair of titles in 2012 and 2013. Despite the fact that Wade and the elder James were both selected in the 2003 NBA draft, Wade retired after the 2018-19 season while the latter's NBA career is still going strong, though he is currently the league's oldest player at 39. The elder James is far removed from his time spent on the same team as Wade, considering the forward's swan song with the Heat came all the way back in the 2013-14 season. NBA trade rumors, Miami Heat and Spurs trying to trade for Lauri Markkanen. It appears that several teams are trying to trade Lauri Markkanen to the Utah Jazz. The first interesting news comes from Jake Fisher, who mentions the Miami Heat as a team pursuing Lauri Markkanen. Miami Heat tried to maximize its optionality this summer by going after the biggest fish that were available to be caught. The Miami Heat now remain one of the few teams most linked to acquiring Markkanen from Utah, according to league personnel. The Jazz are indeed accepting calls about Markkanen, league sources tell Yahoo Sports. Perhaps Utah will end up having an off-season exactly similar to Brooklyn's, where the Nets once envisioned adding star-level talent alongside Mikal Bridges before determining their best course of action was to begin a rebuild thanks to a big acquisition from New York. The Jazz, as previously reported on Yahoo Sports, were considering trading Bridges, held talks with Atlanta about DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, sources said, and were working to assemble a group around Markkanen that could have attracted Georgia's attention. This latest round of Markkanen trade talks could very well just be the Jazz trying to gather information from interested teams, or an effort to solicit some kind of exorbitant offer similar to the 5 first-round picks, plus an additional trade of the Knicks' unprotected pick for Bridges. So far, the Jazz have indicated to various parties around the NBA that they would still like to renegotiate and extend Markkanen when both sides become eligible to do so in August, sources said, and that listening to offers for Markkanen is just part of making good deals. There's a lot to unpack there. First off, it's clear the Warriors are interested in Markkanen. The question is, what would the offer be, and would the Jazz be willing to accept it? Fisher mentions that the Jazz are telling teams they would still like to renegotiate Markkanen, but are accepting calls. It's that kind of mixed message that has made this offseason strange for Utah. Yes, we are interested in a trade, but we would also like to re-sign Markkanen. At some point soon, we will find out what happens. Will we get a tweet saying the Jazz will keep Markkanen if they don't get the offer they want? Or will we get a WOJ bomb that Markkanen will be transferred? From the podcast, here are some of the interesting quotes. Another name they looked at and told me is Markkanen in Utah. That will be a name to keep an eye on. Obviously, the Bridges trade caused them to send smoke signals to call us. I'm not feeling the same kind of vibe for Lauri that I did for Mikal Bridges, but I'm keeping my eye on it for sure. The Spurs are the team I would watch. The Spurs make a little more sense because they have more resources to make a play like this happen. Markkanen is very valuable because he has a very negotiable contract worth around $17 million and is also a purely off-the-ball player, so he can help occupy space alongside Victor Wembanyama. For Utah, we know they loved Stephon Castle in the draft. Will he be the one who is part of a negotiation that also includes choices? Castle would be perfect because he could develop with the Jazz's young core. Whatever is going on, it's clear the Jazz are busy and talking to multiple teams. We will see if a negotiation happens or if there is much ado about nothing. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Lauri Markkanen? Leave your opinion in the comments.